From the big what-if question about Bo Jackson's potential, if not for his injury, to Cheryl Miller's career coming to an end at 24. Here are some of the greatest sports careers that have been ruined by injuries. And I have to start with Andrew Luck's unlucky career. A superstar in every right, Luck joined the NFL in 2012. And if not for his injuries, the quarterback would have still been in action. I mean, come on, he's still only 33. After an extremely impressive rookie campaign, where Luck put together the most passing yards by a rookie quarterback, Luck has established himself as one of the most promising talents in the entire league. Only 2 years later, though, his luck changed. I'm sorry, you know I had to use that at least once. Andrew's torn labrum wasn't as serious as some of the others on the list, but the mental damage it did with an 18-month rehab period was enough to end his career. Credit to Andrew for returning and winning the Comeback Player of the Year in 2018, but the camel's back was broken with a simple leg injury, which led to his early retirement.
Reading to kids at schools, hanging out, Children's Museum, the wonderful things they do there. So a big thank you to the city. It's always, we'll hold a special place.
And talking about early retirements, you've got to include Brandon Roy too. What a player Roy was. A special career. And I always find myself wondering what could have been with this one. He was the player who was supposed to carry the torch from Kobe himself.
You're a big guy, room run every single time, get to the front of the rim. Fernandez now to Roy.
But there was always a dark cloud hanging over him because of his poor injury record in college too. Despite all that though, he arrived in the NBA, won the Rookie of the Year, and then would make the All-Star team in 3 consecutive years. And the All-NBA team too. Unfortunately, 4 years into his NBA career, a meniscus tear was all it took for Roy's career to be over. It led to a degenerative knee condition requiring arthroscopic surgeries on both knees. Roy would return, but obviously he was never quite the same again. And within 6 seasons, it was all over. But that 4-year run was something truly special. However, it doesn't hold a candle to what the MLB experienced in 4 years from Sandy Koufax. Nicknamed the left arm of God, Sandy Koufax, despite the injuries, remains one of the greatest players of all time. That should tell you all you need to know about why he's made the list, because there was so much more to achieve. From 1963 to 1966, Koufax would win 4 ERA titles, 3 Cy Youngs, lead the National League in wins on 3 occasions, 3 strikeout titles, 2 World Series, and 1 MVP. That's as purple a patch as I've ever seen. And he was doing all this while playing in pain, taking all sorts of painkillers. Unfortunately, those 4 years would also be the last 4 of his stellar career as Koufax retired at only 30. Wasted potential. Nothing can ever be sadder than that. But how about someone who made history in the NFL and yet had to retire before even hitting 30? Yep, I'm talking about Sterling Sharpe, a player with so much promise that the NFL world raved about what he could possibly accomplish. In fact, from 1970 to 2000, only 2 men would ever win the Triple Crown for leading the NFL in receptions, receiving yards, and receiving touchdowns. One was obviously Jerry Rice, duh, and the other one, Sterling Sharpe. Rice's career had him playing until his 40s. Sharpe retired before he even touched 30. What a shame, man. It all happened due to a stinger, a type of neck injury that occurred due to blocking during Week 16 back in 1994. Despite the injury, Sharpe returned to play a week later, producing a stat line of 9, 132, 3. But it had proved to be his final game in the NFL as he had to undergo surgery that fused 2 vertebrae together. The Packers didn't take a chance on him again, and no other team did either, with Sharpe, unfortunately, retiring at 29. But given the amount of contact there is in the NFL, it's not a surprise that so many players get injured. How about a sport where there is no contact between 2 individuals? Yet, Monica Seles' exceptional career was cut short due to this freak accident. Tennis remains a relatively harmless sport. I mean, the players are separated by a net in the middle, and apart from a possible muscle injury or a bad fall, there just aren't many serious career-ending injuries that could happen on the court. Yeah, you could possibly damage your knee badly, but still eventually return like some of the greats. But let me present to you a stabbing. Yeah, Monica Seles became the youngest ever French Open champion at the tender age of 16, before going on to win 8 more majors before she even turned 20. That kind of domination from a teenager was unheard of and still remains unheard of. In fact, her rivalry with Steffi Graf is up there as one of the greatest rivalries in the sport. But when Seles was only 20, a deranged Graf fan broke into the match and stabbed Seles in the back. He wanted Seles out of action and wanted Steffi to return to number 1.
Bitte sofort einen Arzt auf den Platz.
That would keep Monica out of action for nearly 2 years, and even though she returned to action, she just wasn't the same player she once was. Talk about having such crazed fans. But while we're on the subject of freak incidents, I can never forget what happened to Paul Williams, the boxer. Those who saw Williams in the ring would tell you just how good he was. Something of a unicorn in the sport of boxing because he stood at a massive 6'1", and his length and reach made him impossible to fight against. In fact, he'd won 3 championships in his career already and was gearing up for another title fight with Canelo Alvarez.
Earl Morton separates the two, midway point of round 1. Lancing left by Martinez.
Unfortunately, fate had different plans as Williams had a motorcycle crash in Atlanta. The crash left him a paraplegic, bruising his spinal cord and ending a special career. Talking about special careers and what could have been, let me tell you the story of Cheryl Miller, the sister of NBA Hall of Famer Reggie Miller. Always maintained that he was the second best player in the Miller household. Despite playing only 1 season and her career ending at 24 due to a torn ACL, Cheryl is regarded as the greatest women's basketball player of all time. She was the first player, male or female, to become a parade All-American in all 4 years in high school.
No other woman has ever played it like a man. That's the way she learned the game, with her 2 brothers in the backyard.
Then she set a 3-time Player of the Year record at USC before becoming a 2-time national champion. Unfortunately, in training, she tore her ACL and would never recover from it. But talking about knee injuries, Ronaldo's career comes to mind almost immediately. And while Lionel Messi is considered by many the greatest player of all time, many believe that even Messi didn't possess the same potential and talent as Ronaldo. I agree. Ronaldo Nazario was easily the best soccer player in the world, and his peak was monstrous. 2 Player of the Year awards before turning 21, and countless other records just showed his immense talent. Unfortunately, he would rupture his knee tendon and just wasn't the same when he returned. Even though he won another Player of the Year award and a World Cup too, he just wasn't the same physical marvel ever again. And for the final entry, who else but Bo Jackson, the man who dominated football and baseball. Jackson was a force of nature, easily the most unique combination of size, power, and speed the NFL has ever seen.
He was like a rocket ship that was fired out of a cannon.
He was excitement incarnate.
And even though he was only a part-time NFL player, he's regarded as one of the greatest. But a hip injury ended his NFL career completely, and we only saw him in 38 NFL games. That's all I had on the greatest sports careers cut short by injuries.
Throw him into better net.
Holy cow, Max, what a throw.